The clock read 10:45 as Sophia finished cleaning the last table at the restaurant. The young waitress was known for her kindness, but life was anything but kind to her. Her salary barely covered the rent for her tiny room, and her exhausting shifts were ruled by Carlos, the restaurant owner, a rigid and arrogant man who only cared about profits. But Sophia had a different heart. She believed that small gestures could make a difference, even if the world around her wasn't generous. As she scrubbed the floor, she found herself dreaming once again about her flower shop, a place full of life and color where people could find a little happiness. "One day, I'll get there," she murmured to herself, trying to summon strength amid her exhaustion. Sophia scrubbed the floor quickly, wishing the clock would tick faster. It was late, the restaurant was empty, and Carlos was in his back office, as usual, complaining about something. Suddenly, he appeared at the door, frowning and holding a tablet. "Hey, Sophia! Did you see the mess those kids left on table 3? It's like we clean here just for it to turn into a dump. Honestly, customers like that shouldn't even leave the house if they can't behave." "I already cleaned it, Carlos," Sophia replied, trying to keep her voice calm. It's the least you could do. And remember, no charity. If anyone comes in without money, they can turn around and leave." "I'm not a babysitter for the poor," he said with a sharp tone before returning to his office and slamming the door. Sophia sighed. She was used to Carlos's arrogance, but his words deeply bothered her. The man was incapable of showing any empathy. To him, people going through hard times were just lazy or irresponsible. "This is a restaurant, not a shelter," he would always say, as if it were his personal mantra. Minutes passed, and silence filled the place until the sound of the doorbell broke the tranquility. Sophia looked toward the entrance and saw a man walk in. He was wearing shabby clothes and looked tired, his face marked by daily struggles. She hesitated. It was clear he wasn't a typical customer. "Good evening," he said, in a hoarse and timid voice. "Hey, I know it's late, but is there anything to eat? I don't have any money, but I promise to repay you as soon as I can." Sophia felt her heart tighten. She quickly glanced toward the back, where Carlos's office was, before responding. "I'm sorry, but we're about to close," she began, but when she saw the hunger and shame on his face, she changed her mind. "Wait here, please." She went to the kitchen, grabbed a plate, and prepared a decent meal for the man. Suddenly, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Carlos shouted, stepping out of his office. "I'm just putting away things from the kitchen, Carlos," Sophia quickly replied, trying to cover up and hide the plate of food. He stared at her for a moment, but seemed more interested in returning to his tablet. Sophia sighed in relief and brought the food to the man. "Thank you," he said, his eyes welling up. "You have no idea what this means to me." Sophia pulled up a chair and sat near him as he began to eat. "What's your name?" she asked. "John," he answered, between bites. I'm not used to asking for help, you know? But today was a tough day." "We all have days like that," Sophia said with a faint smile. "It's important to have someone reach out to us, even if it's just for a moment." John looked at her, surprised by her kindness. "And you? Working lad, you must have big plans for the future." Sophia chuckled softly. "Maybe. I dream of opening a flower shop. I love flowers. They remind me that, even in the worst situations, something beautiful can grow." John smiled. "That's a beautiful dream. I'm sure you'll make it." "I don't even know where to start," she said with a hint of sadness in her voice. "But thank you for believing." After finishing his meal, John stood, adjusted his simple clothes, and thanked her again. "Thank you for treating me like someone important, even when I didn't seem to be," he said, moved. Sophia smiled. "Good luck, John." Luckily, Carlos didn't see anything, and after John left, Carlos also went home. Sophia stayed a bit longer, finishing her tasks, and tired from the day's routine, she too went home. The night passed. The next morning, Sophia arrived early at the restaurant, as she always did. The day was sunny, but she carried a slight unease in her chest. Perhaps it was because of Carlos's suspicious look the night before. As she set up the tables, she noticed Carlos walking into the dining area with heavy steps, holding his tablet like a weapon. His face was red with anger, and his eyes bore into Sophia. "Sophia! My office! No. She swallowed hard and followed him to the small office at the back of the restaurant. As soon as she entered, Carlos slammed the door shut, making it clear that what was about to happen wouldn't be a friendly chat. "Care to explain what that nonsense was about last night?" he yelled, throwing the tablet onto the desk. On the screen was the security footage showing Sophia serving John. I was just helping someone who was hungry," Sophia replied, trying to stay calm. Carlos let out a dry, sarcastic laugh. "Helping someone? This is a business, Sophia, not a charity. Do you think you can go around giving free food to every bum that shows up? People like that only come here to take advantage of our goodwill." "He wasn't taking advantage," Sophia argued. "He was starving, and I did what any decent person would do." Carlos slammed his hand on the desk, making Sophia jump slightly. "Decent? You think it's decent to take money out of my pocket? Because that's what you did." "Carlos, it was a meal that was going to be thrown out. It didn't cost you anything," Sophia replied, her voice firmer. "Yes, it cost me. It cost me my respect for you. And now it's going to cost you your job. You're fired." Sophia felt the ground disappear beneath her feet. "Fired?" she whispered, in disbelief. "That's right. Pack your things and leave. And don't even think about asking for a letter of recommendation." With tears in her eyes, Sophia left the office and returned to the dining area to gather her belongings. The other employees looked at her with pity, but no one dared to intervene. She placed her apron on the counter and walked out the front door, feeling lost and defeated. Sophia wandered the city streets aimlessly. The world felt cruel and indifferent, and she couldn't understand how an act of kindness could cost her so much. Eventually, she reached a quiet park, where she sat on a wooden bench, holding her face in her hands. The tears came before she could stop them, streaming down her face as she tried to figure out what to do next. "Maybe I should give up on this silly dream," she murmured to herself, gazing at the trees around her. While she was lost in thought, the sound of an approaching car caught her attention. A luxurious, shiny black vehicle stopped right in front of her. She frowned, puzzled. Who would stop here, in such an ordinary place? The car door opened, and out stepped a well-dressed man with a confident smile. It took Sophia a few seconds to recognize him. "John?" she asked, incredulous. The man smiled even more. "Hi, Sophia. What are you doing here, all alone?" She blinked, surprised. I was fired. "Because of you, actually," she said, still struggling to believe that the simple man from the night before now looked like a movie star. John laughed warmly and sat beside her on the bench. "Because of me? I think you'll need to explain that." Sophia recounted what had happened that morning, the argument with Carlos and how her generosity had cost her job. "He saw it on the cameras," she concluded. "And to him, helping someone is a crime." John listened silently, but his smile didn't fade. When she finished, he paused and finally spoke. "Sophia, I think it's time you learned who I really am." Sophia looked at John with a mixture of confusion and anticipation. He seemed so different from the simple, tired man who had walked into the restaurant the previous night. His well-tailored suit, expensive watch, and confident demeanor were almost unrecognizable. "Who are you really?" she asked hesitantly. John took a deep breath, keeping his eyes on hers. "My full name is Jonathan Bradford. I own one of the largest investment firms in the region," he said, watching Sophia's reaction. Her eyes widened as she tried to process what she'd just heard. "Wait, are you telling me you're a millionaire businessman? But last night you looked like a homeless man," John finished, smiling. "Yeah, I know. That was the idea. I don't understand. I have a peculiar habit, Sophia," he explained, leaning back on the bench. "Every now and then, I go out in disguise, blend in with regular people, and try to discover what truly matters to them. I look for genuine kindness, something money can't buy. And last night, you showed me exactly that." Sophia shook her head, still in disbelief. "You did that on purpose? Tested my kindness?" John nodded, his tone becoming more serious. "See, Sophia, it's easy for people to be kind when they're comfortable, when they don't have to sacrifice anything. But you risked your job to help someone you didn't even know. That's rare. Very rare." Sophia remained silent, trying to absorb everything. But why? Why do that? What do you gain from it? John looked into her eyes, his expression softening. I already have everything I could want: money, power, success. But what truly motivates me is finding people like you. People who do good simply because it's the right thing to do. And when I find them, I like to give back. Sophia frowned, still a bit skeptical. Give back how? John smiled again, but this time his gaze carried a deeper meaning. I want to invest in your dream, Sophia. I want to help you open your flower shop. The words hung in the air for a moment, almost unreal. Sophia blinked several times, thinking she had misheard. You're serious?" she asked, her voice trembling with emotion. "More serious than ever," he said, leaning forward slightly. "Last night, when you spoke about what flowers represent to you, I realized your dream is more than just a business. It's a way to spread beauty and hope, something this world desperately needs." "But I have nothing," she whispered. "No money, no experience, I don't even know where to start." "And that's where I come in," John said with an encouraging smile. "I have the resources, the knowledge, and the connections. You just need to bring your passion and vision. Together, we'll handle the rest." Tears began to stream down Sophia's face, but this time they weren't tears of sadness. I don't even know what to say. This feels like a dream." "Then let's make it a reality," John said, standing up. "But first, you need to believe in yourself as much as I believe in you." Sophia stood next to him, her heart racing. For the first time in a long while, she felt her dream was possible. "Thank you," she said, her voice heavy with emotion. "I'll never forget what you're doing for me." "There's no need to thank me, Sophia," John replied warmly. "Thank yourself. It was your kindness that brought you here." In the days that followed, Sophia still felt like she was living a dream. John helped her take the first step, finding the perfect location for the flower shop. He took her to visit several places around the city, but it was a modest space, with a simple facade and a small garden in the back, that made Sophia's eyes light up. "This is it," she said with conviction as she walked through the empty space. "I can imagine flowers everywhere. It will be simple, but full of life." John smiled at her enthusiasm. "If this is where you want it, then this is where it will be." Despite her initial excitement, the reality of starting something so significant began to weigh on Sophia. "What if I fail?" she confessed to John during one of their project planning meetings. "I've never done anything like this before. All the money you're investing. What if I'm not up to it?" John, who had been reviewing budget notes, set the paper aside and looked at her. "Sophia, do you know why I trust you? Because I saw something in you that I don't see in many people: courage. The courage to do what's right, even when everything is against you. The rest, like budgeting and management, we'll learn together." He smiled and added, "Besides, I'm not just investing in your dream. I'm investing in you." John's words deeply moved Sophia. For the first time, she felt like she truly had someone by her side who believed in her. During the preparations, Sophia met Clara, an interior designer John had hired to help transform the space. Clara was cheerful, creative, and, above all, inspiring. "So, a flower shop?" Clara said while jotting down notes in her notebook. "I love it. Flowers have this magic of bringing life to any space. What style are you imagining?" Sophia explained her vision. She wanted something welcoming, with vibrant colors, but also tranquil spaces where people could feel peace. Clara smiled. "You're not just opening a flower shop. You're creating a little piece of paradise." The three women spent days decorating the space. Every corner reflected Sophia's essence, simple, yet welcoming and full of life. As the project took shape, Sophia realized there was still something she needed to address: Carlos. The memory of how he treated her still hurt, but she knew she had to find a way to move on. One day, as she walked through the city, she passed by the restaurant where she had worked for years. She saw Carlos at the counter, gesturing at a customer. Sophia took a deep breath and walked in. "Back to ask for your job back," Carlos said with disdain upon seeing her. She shook her head, staying calm. "No. I just wanted to say thank you for firing me," she continued. "It was the push I needed to pursue my dream. And despite everything, I hope one day you can see the value of people beyond money." Carlos was speechless as Sophia walked out of the restaurant, feeling lighter. The big day finally arrived. Sophia stood in the center of her new flower shop, now named Florescer, Bloom, a name that represented not only the cycle of flowers but also her own journey of growth and overcoming. The space was immaculate. Colorful flowers filled every corner, exuding a soft fragrance, and the windows gleamed under the sunlight. Customers began arriving early, drawn by the beauty of the place and the story that was already spreading through the town. Clara was by Sophia's side, helping with preparations, while John observed from a distance, smiling with satisfaction. "Are you ready for this?" Clara asked, excited. Sophia took a deep breath and smiled. "More than ever." At 10 o'clock, Sophia officially opened the doors of Florescer. That afternoon, Sophia paused to speak with customers gathered in the small square in front of the shop. Holding a microphone, she shared her story, tears in her eyes but a smile full of hope. "This place isn't just a flower shop. It's a dream that seemed impossible just a few weeks ago. I only got here because someone believed in me when I was losing faith in myself. But above all, I got here because kindness has a transformative power." She looked toward John, who stood at the back of the crowd, and invited him to join her. "This is John. To many of you, he might seem like just a successful businessman, but to me, he's proof that kindness is always rewarded, one way or another." Applause echoed through the square as John approached, visibly emotional. "Sophia," he began, taking the microphone, "today is about you. Your determination and your heart brought you here. I was lucky to cross paths with you, but it was your courage that turned this into reality." In the weeks that followed, the flower shop became a success in the city. Customers came not only to buy flowers but also to draw inspiration from Sophia's story. The shop became a symbol of hope for many. One day, while Sophia was arranging flowers in the display, a familiar figure walked into the store, Carlos. He seemed uncomfortable, but there was a hint of humility in his expression. "Hi, Sophia," he said hesitantly. "Hi, Carlos," she replied kindly. "I just wanted to say I was wrong. About you, about helping people. And congratulations on what you've built." Sophia smiled, extending him a white flower. "Thank you for coming. Life has a way of teaching us the right lessons, doesn't it?" Carlos took the flower, nodded, and left, leaving Sophia with a sense of closure. At the end of that day, as she closed the shop, Sophia paused to look at the flowers on display. They represented everything she had endured: resilience, hope, and the beauty that can grow from difficult situations. Turning around, she saw John standing at the door. "Ready to go?" he asked, holding the car keys. "Yes," Sophia said, smiling. "But first, I just want to say one thing." "Go ahead." "Thank you for believing in me. For giving me the chance to bloom." John smiled. "You never needed me for that. You just needed to believe that you could." They left together as the lights of the flower shop turned off, leaving behind a place that was much more than a store. It was a symbol of how small acts of kindness can transform lives.